Welcome to another episode of the Hanukkah Erotica Book Club podcast. I'm Raizel, and I'm joined by my stepsister and co-host, Malya. Hi, Mal.
Hello. We did it. I feel like there was a lot of build up.
Touch and go.
It was.
But we're here.
We're here, and I'm excited to get into all of it.
I can't wait. Okay, so some updates. I don't know if you have any.
I have a couple things.
Okay, well, the author was happy that we read the book.
That was really nice of her. Didn't she regrammed it or something? She shared our episode. That was really sweet.
She shared it, and she was happy that, and she commented on our post.
Right. And she also said that Israel Security Services is a real, or securities, so whatever it was, that I was like, is that a real thing? She assured us that it was. Right, exactly. Which shows that she listened to the episode, which was really
Definitely
nice.
Listened.
Yeah.
Definitely listened.
That's cool.
Also, I know people might be on the edge of their seat, and our Jewish Joy Box is coming.
So we've heard.
So Gene Meltzer reached out.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for everything.
People reached out.
Yes.
Addresses have been exchanged.
Yes.
There was something special they were waiting on.
That special thing has come to pass, and now
You two will be getting March boxes.
The June box is...
Right, we're excited to unbox it.
I can't wait.
Right, it's going to be great. Listen, the anticipation will just make it more wonderful when it finally arrives.
I can't wait. We're going to open it on Instagram Live.
Yes, absolutely.
We'll be in sync. Because now William taught us a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a...
Yeah, we have a system now. We can do that on the Instagram for everyone.
So, yeah, it's going to be good.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I'm excited. And
people were entertained by our conversation about the box. I got some feedback about that, which is just further publicity for the box. So, I mean, everyone's making out well here.
This podcast isn't sponsored by the Jewish Joy Box, but
it
we
could
would
be.
be
Let's
happy
be honest.
if you subscribed.
Absolutely. We'd be happy, and also we basically we're doing it anyway.
For sure. And also Gene Meltzer's putting together this Jewish Joy Con.
I saw she's really revving
which
up
is
with
so
that.
Cool.
Yeah. I just got a lot of feedback that people just found this last episode very entertaining. My mom gave me what I thought was a really big compliment, which is that she was listening at the end of the night while she was like washing up, and something was so funny that like she spit out her toothpaste, like she spit out her toothpaste like into the sink because she was cracking up, which I was like, that's a huge compliment. I thought that was really funny. Yeah.
That's almost as good as when my friend missed her subway stop.
Exactly. It's akin to that. Good. Totally. Yeah.
That makes me so happy. I think our parents haven't listened yet.
Oh, I haven't heard anything. Right. You're probably right. They would have, I feel like they would have what to say.
Oh, for sure. So yeah, they're behind. So I think they really need a link.
They just be fed the link. Like they can't rely on.
They need the link. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I feel like we did a whole thing with your mom where we enabled we subscribed her to the show so she would get notifications when there was a new episode, but that might not have been sufficient.
That's really smart though that you did that.
I mean, would have been smarter if it had worked. I don't think it did, but no, I think that's how most people find out about it, but you're right. They might just need a direct link.
So yeah, those are some of my updates.
Yeah. I just feel I have nothing really new to say except that I continue to be amazed by Jonah Platt.
Oh, for sure. I'm ready.
I just feel like he's opining about current events as they unfold in real time. People are really turning to him.
His podcast is on TV.
Is it? What does that mean?
Yes, like if you look at one of the posts, it's like check out what is it called?
Being Jewish.
Being Jewish on, and then instead of like everyone else's podcast where it's like Apple and Spotify,
right?
It's also like on a bunch of TV. It's like it's on TV.
That's crazy.
Yes, I will show you what I mean.
But I just feel like really people are looking to him to like help understand the world as a Jew. Like I'm not I'm not being sarcastic. Like he's giving like these thoughtful takes on just up of the moment issues. He also had his dad on a recent episode, which I thought was very cute.
I know. I agree.
He's, I can't believe how far he's come.
He is the Jewish voice of our generation.
I'm serious.
I said it and I meant it.
You were right. You were completely right.
I said it and I meant it. He appreciated that comment.
As he should have, because it was accurate and you defined a moment. That's all.
I don't know. I can't find where it's on, but I'm serious. Every time I see a post, it says something like, check it out on, and I don't know, it's on some TV station.
Cool.
But it's definitely also on YouTube, and maybe I'm getting confused, but I don't think I am. It's on something else. Find Being Jewish on TV. Roku, Apple TV, Fire TV, and your local cable provider.
Interesting.
Thursday at 5, 8, 11. Friday at 7 and 11. It's
what?
Just Saturday at 2 a.m. and 7 p.m. Roku, Apple TV, Fire TV. I don't know.
But I don't get it. If it's on those things, why does it have times?
Maybe it's like because maybe there's some people who want to check it out that aren't streaming. Like maybe when my mom is like, oh, when's it on about a show?
Yeah, sure.
It's like that. 7 a.m. on what though? On
what? Because Roku and Apple, all those are streaming things. It's okay. We don't have to explain media to our audience.
Okay, it's okay. We can move on.
Yeah, I mean, the point is he's out there in many ways.
Only on JBS. Sorry, I missed something.
What is
What's
that?
JBS?
Like Jewish Broadcasting Services?
Sounds good. I learned today I hate the I was today years old thing. That really annoys me.
Oh, yeah. I don't like that either.
It's Jewish Broadcasting Service. You were right.
There you go. It's a good acronym.
So he's on that.
Of course. Who else would be on that if not him?
Us. We should reach out to them.
Yeah.
So
he should sponsor us or whatever. We should be his like little sisters. Yeah.
Absolutely. I didn't know that PIN stood for personal identification number.
Oh.
Did you?
I think I did. Yeah.
Okay.
But I get why you enter your PIN.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I did know, but it's not crazy to me that you didn't know. PIN,
Mm-hmm. It's like it is what it is. I thought it was.
You didn't think it was something else. You just thought it was just an acronym that meant nothing.
I thought it was a word for what that is, but no, it's personal identification number.
Oh, you thought PIN number was its own term, was just like its own term.
I don't know. Yeah, its own term.
Right. That seems reasonable.
Speaking of terms, I have a lot to say about the book today.
Okay, but wait, I just feel like before we go there, I feel like we should mention the reach outs that we've been getting for podcast guests.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. There's a phenomenon. Something's happening.
I literally don't understand what it is.
I think I'm starting to get it. So, authors, publicists are reaching out to us.
Yes.
Because they think their authors, who are their talent, would be good for our podcast.
Right, except that they're like radically inappropriate people who we would never have. Like if anyone listened to 5 minutes of one of our episodes or even looked at our podcast, you'd know
that we weren't the right fit.
Right, like it's like a children's book author or like someone who's written like a serious book about like the Holocaust and its impact on Denmark. Like
but the phenomenon is that we thought they were AI bots because the emails are written using ChatGPT or Claude or whatever.
Yes. In a very obvious way.
AI is writing the emails.
Yes.
So Malya and I at first thought that they were AI bots. Also, months ago when we were getting reached out to by AI bots, Jonathan's like, I can't believe I've been listening for 12 minutes about you getting AI bot emails. I'm like, no, I didn't know that I didn't realize it was an AI bot until we were discussing it on the podcast. But now we're in a
Right.
different situation.
Yes.
Human beings are reaching out, but the emails were written by an AI bot.
Right. Because it'll be like, it's a very clear formula where the AI bot is like trying to make a connect, reaching into its, machine learning brain to like make some connection between our podcast and like the Holocaust in Denmark, but like it can't because there really is no connection. So it'll just
Right.
be like, hi, Raizel and Malya. I couldn't help but notice your latest episode about Tel Aviv. It made me think of Dr. Blah, 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 the Holocaust scholar who wrote a book about Denmark. She'd be a great podcast guest. Just like, what?
Well, because also but then when you responded, I was laughing at one of them because then it's a human being.
Right. So then there was one that was like a children's book that was like it had bullet points for why this children's book author would be a great guest. And one of them was like, learn about interesting twists on classic recipes like charoset breakfast balls. And William, I can't take credit for this joke. It was William's joke, but he was like, well, charoset breakfast balls sounds like it would be pretty good for your podcast up, actually. And that seems so funny. And I knew it was I just assumed, I was going on our prior assumption that it's a bot. So I wrote back, because you and I have a policy that we respond to every email that we receive, regardless of whether it's a human or not. So I just have a one-line email that's like, thanks, this person won't be a good fit, good luck. So I wrote, this person won't be a good fit, but I couldn't help myself. And I said, however, charoset breakfast balls do sound like they'd be pretty good for this podcast, for Hanukkah Erotica Book Club. And then I just sent it. And literally 30 seconds later, the real person with that email address from whatever publicist company was like, ha ha, but probably not very child friendly or whatever, something like that. And I was like, oh my God.
You're real.
You're real. But also like, what are you doing if you're real? Because
if people are thinking that they can just use these AI apps to send an email and it's not working.
But not only is it not working, it's very labor intensive. Like, unless they have something automated where ChatGPT is automatically taking a huge list of emails, automatically generating those emails, and then automatically sending them, which I don't think most of these people have the capability of doing, they're still doing a lot of their own work, copying and pasting and generating and sending. Why wouldn't they just weed out the obviously inappropriate ones? It seems like a waste of time. I don't understand.
I know. Well, here's the thing. If anyone is listening, here's the thing. Mostly, it's just Malya and I.
Right.
We said this last time.
Right.
Every now and then an author will come on.
Probably not a children's author.
Probably not. And it's because, if they come on, it's because we've reached out to them.
Yes.
We hope Jonah Platt comes on again.
That would be great.
I can't wait to hear what he has to say and whether
or not his podcast was inspired by us.
Yeah.
Of course it was, Rachel. It's not a question.
I know. You're right. The more I think about it.
What other podcasts was he on? Like what's his framework?
You don't realize though that he was Fiyero in Wicked. He had a career. And also he was a musical theater guy. He was on in a lot of shows, traveling shows.
I understand that, but he pivoted. Why? Question mark.
He was also auditioning. Obviously, he was a menorah in the middle.
Well, we know that, right?
He pivoted because he's doing God's work.
Agreed. Anyway, but also we would like to hear from Jonah Platt about a guest spot. But we would also like to hear from publicists trying to book podcasts who could explain this methodology and its efficiency.
Yes, if you're a publicist and this is what you do, explain.
Please. That I'm interested in.
I don't use AI for work.
Right.
But someone recently was explaining to me, like, it's really cool. You could just feed it a bunch of your emails and then it'll know your tone of voice. And then it'll be able to generate a bunch of things in your tone of voice. No, it won't. I have a unique tone. And I don't buy it.
AI can't
And I
mimic
don't
your
buy
tone?
it.
Really?
It cannot.
Interesting.
That's what I think.
But you haven't tried it. You just sense that it
haven't
won't.
tried it.
Okay.
I haven't tried it.
Right.
I could.
Well, I don't know. It might be interesting as an experiment. I don't really use it so much either. I feel like by the time you've edited everything and whatever, you might as well just write it on your own. That's how I mostly feel.
That makes sense to me.
Sometimes, like for very specific things, like if it's like something very wordy and I want to be like, cut this down to 500 words, that it could do.
Okay.
Like things like that.
Interesting.
Anything sort of more specialized than that, I feel it's not worth it. Certainly sending a million podcast emails about to radically just like out of your lane people, it makes no sense to me.
And also, yes, I'd like to know the success rate. ChatGPT can also calculate that for them.
Right, that's
0.
true. Right.
Yeah, it's a good phenomenon. I'm glad we're discussing.
Yeah.
It's entertaining.
I like it. I don't
It is a little
understand
hard
it, but I like
responding
it.
to them.
It's fine. That's fine. It's good to be polite.
But you know what? We did receive an ARC, an advanced reader copy of a book we haven't read yet.
Oh.
And then I got an email that was like, it's time to review the book.
Oh,
I
right.
think we both got it in our
Yeah,
inbox.
yeah,
We should read it. We should read it.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be next. I have to remember what the book is, but I don't even know if it's out yet. But we should read that book because the author sent it to us.
Yeah, that was very nice. Agreed. Okay, let's do that.
It's called Trial Run by S.M. Levine.
Great.
We will check it out.
Okay.
Yeah. Okie dokie. Let's get talking.
Let's. Okay.
The Marrying of Chani Kaufman.
Yes.
Do you say Kaufman or Kaufman? I say Kaufman.
Kaufman, I'm with you.
Yeah. It's like I feel like the people. Anyway, anyone know any Kaufmans? Because I feel like people who say Kaufman, they don't know them. Like Kaufmans go by Kaufman, but I don't know.
Yeah. I know. I only know Kaufman's.
Me too. Okay, The Marrying of Chani Kaufman by Eve Harris. Wow.
Okay, so I guess my first question to you is like, is this a romance at all?
No.
Okay.
I mean, maybe a percentage. It's read like a horror story.
Yeah, it was pretty dark. It was pretty dark overall. I felt like okay, but I was trying because I recommended it, and as we were going, I was like, oh geez, like what did I do here? But I think that there were maybe some elements of a romance.
Yeah, there were elements. I don't think you did anything wrong. I'm very happy I read it.
Oh, good, thank you. I mean, there was like kind of the build up and the anticipation of the two of them, the two main characters kind of like liking each other and sort of like getting like getting to know each other's and sort of like glances and all of that felt a little romancy to me.
Yeah, and then there was obviously Avrami and Shola.
Right.
Which was more tragedy.
The whole thing was more tragedy. I mean,
this book read. Okay, so the marrying of Chani Kaufman, after I said that, is not about the marrying of Chani. It's more about it's about a few different characters.
Right. All in the like ultra Orthodox community in London.
Yeah, in London and outside of London.
Right.
From neighborhoods, but ultra Orthodox. Very, very, very Haredi.
Haredi, exactly.
Are you familiar with the Jewish community there at all?
Like very little, because I have William has cousins who are from London who are Jewish, so we visited them, and a couple friends who are from London. So I know overall, I feel like my general sense of like Jews from England is that they're sort of more traditional. Even if they're not so observant, sort of like their thing is like, if they go to shul, it's Orthodox. Like there's more people like that. And they're sort of like their go-to is a very traditional sort of framework. I know Limud also started there as kind of maybe like an attempt to break away from that. My point is, but I'm not at all familiar with the ultra-Orthodox community there. Not at all.
I know, exactly. I know Jews from the UK, Jews from London. I went to Limud in the UK, which is a conference that celebrates pluralism and invites Jews of all backgrounds to learn over the course of several days. And it's amazing. They're all over the country, but they're also all over the world. And it started in the UK. It's great. I've been there. Ultra Orthodox Jews in London, not at all.
Right.
Although
Same.
it seems like it's very similar to Haredi Jews in Brooklyn or Israel.
It felt like this book could have been in Brooklyn. Like occasionally they would say mom instead of mom, like mom. And
Yeah,
then
or
I'd be like,
plait for braid.
right. And then I'd be like, oh, right, it's England. But other than that, it felt like the whole thing could have been in Brooklyn.
For sure. It's true. Although I liked that it was British.
Yeah. And again, I don't know any of these places, but I feel like it probably did conjure, it mentioned a lot of like place names and areas and landmarks. And I wonder, I just have no frame of reference for London at all, and that area, but I wonder if someone who did would feel like it conjured the place.
Yeah, that sounds right to me. So it starts off on their wedding day, Chani and Baruch's wedding day.
Right.
It is, I'm like sweating for them. She's sweating. She's dripping with sweat right off the
A
bat.
lot of sweat. Everyone is sweating like crazy.
They're anxious and schwitzed.
Yeah. She's
really
also
like
wearing like a wedding dress that it sounds like has been worn by like 20 people before her.
Yeah, it stinks.
Yeah, so it's just like gross.
The bride stood like a pillar of salt, rigid under layers of itchy petticoats. Sweat dripped down the hollow of her back and collected in the pools under her arms, staining the ivory silk. She edged closer to the bedecken room door, one ear pressed up against it. She heard men singing, their shouts of, lie, lie, lie. The book does a really good job with the imagery of what goes on in the frum world.
Totally. And just the sort
Really?
of like, even the depiction of the sweat. I mean, it feels a little, I've never been in this exact scenario, but it feels like it really conjures the sort of just like mayhem of these events and how they just kind of like take on a life of their own.
Right. Their shouts of lie, lie, lie rolled down the dusty synagogue corridor. They were coming for her. This was it. This was her day. The day her real life started. She was 19 and had never held a boy's hand. The only man to touch her hand had been her father, and his physical affection had dwindled since her body had curved and ripened. Ugh, I hate ripened. Sit down, Hanila. Show a little modesty. Come, the kala doesn't stand by the door. Sit. Anyway, the whole book sort of reads like this, but this first part is just, I'm scared for her.
Totally. It sounds like it's like she's talking herself into that this is a good moment, but it feels like she's trapped.
Right. So it follows the story of Chani and her family. Chani is from a family with 1 million girls, which is like the kiss of death for this frum family.
Right.
They are not, I guess, as like classy or rich as Baruch's family.
Right. They reminded me a little bit of the main family in Pride and Preference.
Yes, for sure. The rabbi of the shtibel.
Yeah, because isn't he also some kind of rabbi
Yes.
and they have 1 million
Yeah,
daughters?
it was a word I didn't know.
Menahel.
Yeah,
It's you. It's a principal.
yes, me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me. Mm-hmm. So this is like, her father's a rabbi of a shtibel, but not
Right.
the shul that this family goes to. And then Baruch's family is richer and snobbier, but also, I mean, his mom, I can't even believe what goes on in this book.
The thing about this book, like, and I feel like this is different than other books that we've read from the Orthodox communities. Like, there is not one happy woman in this entire book. Every woman is a miserable.
It's
like,
really true.
Trauma level miserable. Like, really. And
The Rebbitzin is,
I mean,
feel
that's the
it.
word. I needed a trigger warning for that. I don't feel like I'm one for these things, but well, whatever. I'm skipping ahead. There was an abrupt
Yes.
twist that I was not expecting, and I
Yes.
really felt like, what did I just read? I was traumatizing.
Yeah, no. And we've read Olive Days. We've read other books where this happened.
Right. But
But
it
I
feels
agree.
like usually, especially when it's even if the main characters are unhappy or there's a lot of people who are sort of struggling with the constraints of the community, you see at least one character or one couple who it seems like, okay, like they're happy, they've found their place, they love and appreciate the structure that the community provides and its wisdom. None of that in this book, right? There was not one person.
You're right. You're right.
So that just, I mean, that's why it was so dark to me. It was like relentless.
No, you're completely right. I mean, it's even describing the anxiety even from the get-go. It's like, yeah, no, it was dark. It was dark.
And also in the beginning, I mean, and this is like sort of, this is the thread through the whole thing, is like, Chani knows something is going to happen on the wedding night. And she understands generally that it, like, what it is, but she doesn't actually know what it is.
No, she cannot get that information with clarity.
Right.
She doesn't know how it's going to go in.
Right. She understands like he will insert something somewhere.
Yes.
But there's no more specificity than that.
Meanwhile, Baruch went to libraries like a little perv, although I get it. He didn't have information and was trying to get it somewhere.
Right.
And went to some sex aisle in the library and was reading like books on anatomy to try to figure it out.
Is this real? Like, I would like to know, I don't know who this author is, but like, it seems...
Steve Harris, Holler.
Right. Like, I don't know if she has personal experience with this community. It kind of seems like she must, because it's a very intimate portrait, but I also hope that she doesn't, because it's so negative and sort of horrible. But I don't know. It seems strange to me that at some point, even if it's right before the wedding, there should be some clear explanation of what's expected.
Right. Even she was asking the Rebbitzin questions, and the Rebbitzin was feeling bad for her because the questions she was asking made the Rebbitzin understand like how clueless she was. So the Rebbitzin was trying to give her more information, but she was asking on the street or something, and someone was like, it's not sneeze for you to ask her on the street. Like,
right.
What is she supposed to do?
Right. I don't get it. Like, why not tell them?
Yeah, I don't either. What do they think's going to happen?
Like, this is what they're supposed to do, so why not just tell them about it? And this is what I'm asking is, does this really happen? It seems so extreme. And listen, I get it. Like, animals do it, and nobody tells them what to do. Like, there's an instinct that I guess they'll figure, like, as we see at the end, like, they would figure it out, even if nobody told them anything. But, like, why put them through that?
Yes, but he did his research.
And even so, it goes awry.
Do you remember in one of the Off the Derech books we read about a community in Muncie on their wedding night? He didn't know what to do, and they called the rabbi.
Oh, yeah. That was a book we read?
Yeah, not on this podcast. We both read that book.
Oh, yeah. What book was that?
I think it was the Shalom Dean book.
Oh, yeah. All who go do not return. Right. They called the rabbi on the wedding night.
And on their wedding night, they called the rabbi and asked what to do.
And he was like, put some water on it? What did he say? Meanwhile, put water on it.
It's not what he meant. He was trying to say wet, get her wet. There was a misunderstanding there.
What's she doing? They're like standing in the shower, like slapping, trying to get water in the right direction. Like, what's happening?
He like fills the cup, like the thin plastic cup from Shul that we talked about in the last episode with water, and just
like douching with the Kiddush cup.
Horrible. It's sad. This is so sad and upsetting. It's upsetting.
It is. That's what I'm saying. The book was like kind of relentlessly upsetting.
I know. It really was. So she's looking for the Rebbitzin at her wedding. The Rebbitzин's nowhere to be found. She's looking for the Rebbitzin. She doesn't, it's like sweaty and it's like, yeah.
There's a million people there.
And then also she doesn't see him because it's separated men and women and, the whole thing. And then finally they see each other, they're getting shoved in the chair and they're going to fall off the chair. And it's just, by the way, this would make an amazing TV show or movie.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Like incredible.
Yeah.
Okay. So we get her story, but like I was saying, he comes from a different family,
right?
And he actually spotted her across a mechitza once at a wedding or something.
Yes.
And so once he spotted her and liked her, because in this community he can't just approach her in any way, he got her name and then brought her name to the shadchan, the matchmaker, to make it seem like it was a shidduch.
But through his mother, right? He had his mother do it?
I thought his mother was against it.
She was, but she was against it the whole time, but didn't he kind of say, like, come on, Mom, like, didn't the father kind of say, like, if this is who he wants, like, and then the mom was kind of pushed into it?
And then the mom does everything she can in her power to make this match not work out.
Yes.
Including say horrible things to Chani. By the way, Chani staying is crazy too. She like shoved her into the corner or something at one point. It was like threatening her.
Yeah, didn't she like shove her in the bathroom and then Chani like pushed her back out and cut her foot in the door? So they had like a physical altercation. Yes. That was like at the end when he was already like they were already there to basically like solidify the engagement.
Yeah,
she
like
was
that
still
final meeting before the wedding.
Yes, the mom was still trying to end it. She like drove to the mom drove to Chani's house and like kind of like basically cornered her and was like, "Listen, you're not right for my son." So Chani had to really like fight for this marriage, which is weird because she doesn't know this guy. That's why I felt like it was a little bit like a romance, because it does seem like the two of them are really like kind of drawn to each other in sort of like an inexplicable way. And they both have a sense of like, I feel connected to this person and I want to keep pursuing it. Even though like, I feel like Chani could have just easily been like, this mom's a bitch. Like, fine, forget it. I'll move on.
Right. But also it's not like she had her pick of the litter.
Right, that's true. He was like a more desire. That's why that whole aspect of it kind of reminded me of Pride and Preference, because
me too.
He was from sort of like a wealthier family. His mom obviously cared about that a lot. Saw this whole family as beneath them. And
it's such a British thing. Like that's such a British mentality from everything we know.
Totally. Right, just like kind of classist, elitist, but for no real good reason.
Yeah. So.
But then I don't even know
reading
who's
this
more.
One page right now.
Yeah, go on.
No, what were you going to say?
I was going to say I don't know who's more traumatizing, that Baruch's mom or Chani's mom, who I feel like is also like a nightmare in a different way.
Well, Chani's mom's completely overwhelmed. She has 1 million daughters. She's so mean to all of them because she wanted all of them to be a son, because the girls, you have to marry off and it costs money and you have to pay for the wedding, and
she's just like severely depressed. It seems like
she's
to me.
Unwell.
She's really unwell.
She can't take care of herself or her family.
No, she's a wreck. Understandably, like Chani, there's a scene that Chani comes home one day and like the mom, I guess, is pregnant like yet again. She's sort of like perpetually pregnant, and she's found out that the baby's another girl, and she's having like a fetal position panic attack just about like having to have yet another girl to like raise and marry off. And Chani just comes home and like this is like her model. And then they're like, oh, like you're 19, you must want to marry someone you barely know and have a life just like this. Like,
right. Don't you?
Right. What was the page you were going to read?
The rabbis, when he's trying to find out information about what's expected of him in the marriage, the rabbi started, "You are responsible for all your wife's needs," he said. "You must feed her, clothe her, provide a roof over her head, and pay for all of her material necessities. But you must also give her pleasure in your relations with her." Baruch shifted in his seat. Pleasure. It sounded so simple. He had gone as far as to do some private research on the subject at Swiss Cottage Library, far away from the shtetl of Hendon. He had even swapped his yarmulke for a baseball cap for further anonymity. By the way, I love this. A frum guy in like a bekisha or whatever it's called.
Yeah. He's like, oh, this baseball cap. He's gonna take
off his kippah, and this baseball cap's gonna. Have you ever seen like I've seen like tables of frum guys like drinking at bars in Brooklyn when they obviously shouldn't be there.
Totally.
They think they're blending in.
Yeah.
You're not.
Yeah, no. Guys, you're living in a dream world.
Like, oh, the hipsters look like this now. They don't.
Right. No.
You have pay, sir.
Right.
The For further anonymity, too shy to ask, he had roamed the stacks, lost like Moses in the desert until he found the right section. There he sat immersed in sex advice manuals, a world so taboo to him that his heart raced with guilt, but he could not stop. Fascinated, he read on and stared at the diagrams that made his ears burn red with shame. Clitoris, stimulate, arouse, labia, climax, the female body made no sense at all. At school, he had glanced at the grubby men's magazines passed from desk to desk. The pictures had made his head swim. The women so brazen, their mouths glistening and open, their flesh sleek and pneumatic. Is that the word? There's a P at the beginning. He could not equate them to Chani. He had never even seen her elbows, yet he was duty-bound to give her pleasure. An orgasm, Rabbi? He offered. Realizing his mistake, he flushed, the rash of acne on his left cheek suddenly backlit. Rabbi Zilberman raised an eyebrow. Yes, I believe that's what they call it nowadays, but he did not probe
Nowadays.
further. How will I know if I have pleased my wife, he had to ask. This was his chance. His mouth had gone dry, but the words had slipped out. You will know with time, with practice. She may even tell you, but do not waste time chatting about frivolous things. Action is important, not words. A child is a wonderful mitzvah, and to have relations with her whilst she is pregnant is a double mitzvah. I've never heard that.
Me neither.
Pregnant, Baruch had almost forgotten that these mysterious relations could lead to such a thing. He wasn't ready to be a father yet. The rabbi seemed to expand and fill the room, and Baruch, just as we do not eat like animals, we do not have relations like them either. Hashem created us with physical desires, and marriage liberates us to enjoy those desires in the right way, not like beasts in the field. Rabbi Zilberman was eyeballing him. Like beasts in the field, but how was this anatomically possible? He remembered the pictures, but surely the behind was the wrong place? What? Baruch was very relieved that Hashem had solved this problem for him. The rabbi was not done yet. And when your wife is nida, you do not go near her. Do not even touch her until her bleeding has finished and she has purified herself in the mikveh. Anyway, it goes on and on. I could read the whole book, but
I don't even know. What was that beast of the field thing? He was saying, like, don't do it up the butt?
Like beast in the field? But how is this was this anatomically possible? He remembered the pictures, but surely the behind was the wrong place?
But is that what the rabbi's saying? Like, beast in the field is a euphemism for sex up the butt? What's he saying?
Maybe
I feel like I don't get it.
Maybe he's picturing it happening from behind.
Okay.
I don't know what beasts in the field do. I don't know if they're doing it from behind.
Maybe they are. Is that
But maybe he's picturing that, and he's saying, "Isn't that the wrong place?"
Right. So they're not communicating so effectively.
They're not.
Right.
How could she bleed from down? He's not understanding menstruation either. He's freaking out. How could she bleed from down there each month? The thought was making him nauseous. It's horrible. It's horrible. 2 days before the wedding, Chani washed, combed, brushed, and scrubbed herself raw. Anyway, then she goes to the mikvah. Every single chapter and page reads like a horror story. So we get their story, and then we find out the backstory. Like we said, he spotted her, the matchmaker, the mom, horrible. Okay. But then simultaneously, we're getting the Rebbitzin story.
Right. This is the Rebbitzin that's teaching her, just like that section you read about him meeting with the rabbi. This is like the corollary with her. She's taking these classes to learn about being a wife, I guess. And
exactly.
The mikvah and all that.
Exactly. Another day, another immersion, another new bride. The Rebbitzin and Chani walked to the end of the alley alongside the railway arches. Above them, the sky was a tumultuous blanket of gray, and a chill wind whipped their long skirts into tangled knots. At the end of the unremarkable suburban street was a small industrial zone housing a mechanics workshop and a car park. Why are we reading this? Anyway, basically, this is them walking together, and she does the mikvah, and she's trying to get this same information.
Right.
She says, Chani, it will hurt a bit the first time, but let it happen. Try to relax. Breathe deep and slow. With time, your relations will get better. It's a whole new world for both of you, but a man's needs often outweighs the woman's. When you are nida, you can rest. Still, a woman can take great pleasure in her husband too. Explore each other. The Rebbitzin had said too much and felt embarrassed. Chani was staring at her. She couldn't read the girl's expression. In the gloom of the railway arch, Chani's eyes gleamed. A train tore through the air above them. The Rebbitzin thanked Hashem for the welcome distraction. They continued in silence, each deep in their thoughts. The Rebbitzin thought about Baruch, a talented yeshiva bachur and quite a catch. A little neurotic, it had to be said, but which boy wasn't? Anyway, basically, they're on this walk together. She's sharing too much, even though she's sharing nothing.
And also, like, sharing too much. Like, isn't this what she does, is teach brides? Like, why does it seem like she's never done this before?
Just pour some water on it.
Pour some water on it. I mean, like, that's the thing is, like, nobody in this book seems competent at all. Everyone seems like they're hanging by a thread.
Yes, but the thing is, the Rebbitzins' backstory is bananas because her and the rabbi, they were secular and like living in Israel because they were from London and they moved to Israel because they were cousins in Israel and they were dating. They were like just like secular Jews spending a summer in Jerusalem or something, or like studying at a university there.
Right.
And the rabbi, her husband, gets obvious Jerusalem fever.
Right. And she kind of
flips
goes
out.
along, and she's interested too. Like, she's kind of like into it to some degree.
She's interested, but she was definitely not going in that direction. It was a kind of ultimatum, I would say. She was
Totally.
going to lose him
Yes.
if she didn't become from.
Yes.
So the book takes us all the way back to the 80s in Jerusalem, which I like because it seems like Jerusalem hasn't changed at all.
Totally. And those like kind of like weird Kira families that you get invited to for Friday night dinner, and they're
Yes.
sort of like trying to give you this like heavy-handed indoctrination about how
It works for me every time. Every time I just cry and weep and think I'm never coming home. I'm very susceptible.
Jerusalem fever, it's a thing.
I'm very susceptible to Jerusalem fever. I was once on a rooftop and a Kirov rabbi saw me crying and was just like, hello. He like appeared out of nowhere. He was British.
He was like, oh, my target audience. Yes.
He saw me just like weeping, and they were like, stay. I stayed. I never left. And I was like, my home, my apartment, my family. They're like, no, everything takes care of itself when you do this.
Right. Right. So.
And it does somehow for these people. I don't know what happened to their apartments and their belongings, but they all worked itself out.
Yeah, until they
stayed
wind
there.
up like this Rebbitzin, and they're like in the middle of they've like look back on their life and they're like,
Yeah, identity crisis. You look back on your life, you have all these families in Hendon and a shtetl in the outside of London, and you don't know your ass from your elbow.
and you're trying to like,
No.
you're teaching women, you're feeding women, I don't know, a bunch of vague nothing.
Also because she used to be secular, like they were having sex and stuff before, and then he decides he's becoming frum because he got Jerusalem fever.
Right.
And flipped out. And for our listeners who don't know the term flipping out is a term that means when you kind of go from not being so religious to very religious.
Yes, very quickly.
Yes, very quickly. Like you go to Israel for seminary, which I love that they called SEM in the UK.
Yeah, that's cute.
In the book, they're like, oh, she didn't even go to SEM.
Yeah. I know. Baruch's mom did not like that. Didn't go to SEM.
No.
Right.
No, she didn't
But
go
that
to
was
SEM.
just a
Fact.
red herring. Really, she just didn't like what the family was poor, I think, but that's what it was really.
For sure.
Yeah.
There's nothing that Chani could have done.
Yeah, right. If she had gone to SEM,
but
she would have
slam her
found
foot in
something
the door.
else. Yeah,
Yeah. It would have been the wrong SEM.
totally. Right, but that's right. So, and then he's like, "We have to stop having sex," and he tells her like, it'll be even more special once we're committed, blah blah blah. And she's like, she doesn't really buy it. I don't think. I think she loves him, and she likes how how he's so serious and passionate. But I don't think she ever really buys the whole thing.
She might not, but she definitely walks the walk for many years, for decades.
Right.
And, but he really, got into it. Like,
Yeah.
she went along for the ride and appeared just as frum as he. For all these people that met them in the shtetl and didn't know them, pre this
Right.
life,
They would never
would have
know.
known. But,
Right.
but she has these memories and knows, and I think her identity is much more muddled. But yeah, you're right about those, like the families that invite you over in Jerusalem.
Yes.
But like, there's like a different energy in those homes. Like, it feels magical. Like the reason you get Jerusalem fever from those, there's something in the air.
Totally. You see all these women and they're
soup, you
wearing
smell the soup.
and the women are wearing like 10 tichels all tied together and it somehow looks beautiful and
That
there's
wrap skirt.
there's that wrap skirt. Usually everything is like a couple wrap skirts, like all layers. There's a lot of layers going on.
Yeah, a lot of layers. I would, by the way, like I said, this would make an amazing TV show.
Totally. And it's so true.
Yes.
And you see in all the kids, they're all helping each other, and
kids,
they all have cute
yes.
little kippas and payas, and
Yes,
even
yes,
the ones
the
whose heads are
feet are
like
hanging out.
their feet are they have the heads shaved except for the payas. They're all so adorable.
They are. And it just smells so good.
Food's always delicious.
So Hamish.
Yeah, there's and they're singing it's the Jerusalem night outside. I mean,
Did I ever tell you about Binny's Tuesday night dinners at Chabad?
no.
For a little while, Binny was taking a Tuesday after school class at Chabad. She had to take a break from it because she has play practice on that day, but I'm sure she'll start up again in the fall. But it's like a class, and it's separate from her Hebrew school because we belong to a conservative shul. She has Hebrew school twice a week, but in addition, she has a Chabad class once a week, and it includes dinner that the Rebbitzin makes.
Cute.
She comes back every Tuesday. She's like, Mom, I'm not saying this to be mean. She is such a good cook. I'm like, I'm happy you ate. You're not offending me. I'm happy. What did she make? Anything she makes, I can make. My father-in-law's like, you can't. It's Hamish.
You could, but it wouldn't be the same.
It's because it's Hamish.
He's right.
But like,
I'm with him.
He was like, her schnitzel. I was like, there's another boy who goes to the class who told his mom, I've never seen a girl eat so much schnitzel, eat so much as Binny ate the night of the schnitzel.
Oh, wow. Good for her.
Like, Binny doesn't eat, she's not a huge eater.
Yeah.
So I've never seen her eat so much schnitzel either. I'm like, take another bite. I literally had to ask Malky, the Rebbitzin, who has listened to our podcast, like, what breadcrumbs did you use? Like, I could just use the breadcrumbs. Like, I was like, don't worry, Binny, I can make it. What breadcrumbs? She said it was like, the American one, like the wall of breadcrumbs in a kosher supermarket. It was like American spice, this spice, that. She's like,
That's
they
really
just say
funny.
American. I bet it's like Pereg American breadcrumbs.
That's so
Osem
funny.
American bread. I could do it.
Yeah, but it won't be the same.
That's exactly the point. And then meatloaf one day. Binny's never had meatloaf.
Right?
I mean, she never enjoyed meatloaf.
Right.
No. Inhaling the Rebbitzins meatloaf.
Wow.
It's because it's Hamish. She's going to Chabad. She's getting Hamish dinner. Of course she loves it.
Yeah. But it's a whole vibe. Like, it's not just the meatloaf. It's like, I'm sure that Rebbitzin is just like, like just so lovely. Like, that's the thing is like, a lot of times these women exude just this sort of like contentment and warmth and sort of serenity. And that's part of the mystique. None of the women in this book do that, by the way.
No.
They're just exuding misery.
Yeah. It's really, really makes me very happy how much Binny loves it.
I'm sure like that Rebbitzins meatloaf is delicious because it's made with like the conviction of her faith.
Yeah. It's awesome. I love that she
great.
loves it.
So nice.
Yeah, I can't wait for her to start up again.
Really sweet.
It's great. And there's babies around, it's
Of course,
her
there's
daughter
always
has a
babies
baby,
around, yeah.
So that her oldest daughter has a baby. There's babies, her granddaughter, even though it's great.
So nice.
Anyway, so yes, there's some Hamish food in this book, and there is the word Hamish a lot. One thing I need to point out:
Yes.
it is an interesting author choice to not define almost any Yiddish term, but then call to fill in phylacteries.
That's so funny. I
Why?
didn't notice that.
What you did or did not?
Did not.
Like, or skullcap for kippah. Like,
Right.
phylacteries isn't helping.
Right. No, if you don't know to fill
what
in,
are
you do no
phylacteries?
phylactery. Right. That is weird.
Skullcap.
Right. What's the Venn diagram of people who don't know the word to fill in but do know the word phylactery? No one. Zero.
No one, zero.
Right.
Empty. Lonely in there.
Right. No, you're right.
Phylacteries.
Right.
It's like a ridiculous. It's like a. You ever read the English side of a sitter?
Sure.
Like word and shul,
Yeah.
and the words are bananas. Phylacteries are like that.
Yeah. Right. It's what it's from. Right. Oh, but they don't define other Yiddish terms. Is there a glossary in the book? I don't even remember.
There is a glossary. Yes.
Yeah, needed it. That's funny.
Yeah. Made me laugh. I don't get it.
But anyway, then we get more about the Rebbitzins' current
On dissatisfaction,
crisis.
dreams to become secular again, midlife crisis. Also, I understand you're not happy. You've made choices, but you have an entire family counting on you. You're just leaving on Shabbos, going to London, renting a room with no clothing, no toothbrush, nothing but your outfit and your shaitel, and leaving your whole family behind. Oh, I'm sorry,
Well, I'm
what?
saying all these women are like, they're unwell. They're all like on the verge of
It's horrible.
of a breakdown. It's like, it's beyond just like, oh, I'm unhappy, whatever. Like, no, they're like driven to the brink of insanity. But also, well, first of all, you learn earlier in the book, like it's kind of hinting throughout the book when you meet the Rebbitzin, and then it like tells you more clearly that she's had a miscarriage that she's like
Yes.
very upset about and in a lot of pain over. So that I expected, but then later on, in one of her last Kala classes with Chani, she like breaks down and divulges that they had another kid earlier on.
Oh, horrible.
That is what I seriously needed a trigger warning for. I was
Yes.
not expecting that. It's like the book goes into a lot of detail about this baby they had in Israel who's like hit by a car and killed
Horrible.
as a
Horrible.
toddler.
Horrible. Trigger warning. We should have told you all.
I'm sorry.
We tried.
And it was very abrupt, and I really felt traumatized by it because it was
Horrible.
so out of nowhere. And then basically it was like they were obviously like devastated by this. They didn't know how to go on. And then one day she just packs all their bags, and her husband comes home and she's
There's
like,
a flight booked.
we're leaving. I booked a flight. I'm leaving. I booked a flight. Like, I can't be here anymore. Like, my life here's over. And he's like, do you want me to come with you? And she's like, yes. And he's like, fine, we'll both go. And they literally, I mean, they do the opposite of moving and leaving their
Yes.
apartment in England. They just leave everything in Israel and then basically just pretend that kid never existed. It seems like she's never spoken
Right.
to anyone about him. Totally just like had more children and moved on until she like breaks down to Chani about it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
These people, they're
horrible.
unhinged.
Yes.
Understandably, like she went through tragedy
sure.
and dealt with it in the worst
No
way.
outlet.
Right.
Yeah. Completely repressed.
Yeah.
Also, she's like masking her true self in this from identity.
Right.
Oh.
Right.
Anyway,
yeah.
while that's happening in her life and with her husband and all this stuff where she's feeling what she's feeling about the miscarriage and confusion over being from while simultaneously giving Kala classes and being the town Rebbitzin,
Yup.
her son Avrami
Yes.
goes to school, law school, I believe, because Avrami was really smart, and rather than just like do the regular from thing, the Haredi thing of learning Talmud all day, they agree or encourage him in some way to go to school.
Yes.
And he doesn't know what is happening when he starts seeing women and meeting women and being in the same study groups as women, and meets someone who he basically falls in love with, who's a Nigerian woman named Shola. And it's another tragic story
Right.
of Rami and Shola. They're together. They like really fall in love. Shola for sure thinks that like this is going to happen because they're like in a love bubble.
Right.
And in whatever love bubble they're in together, like she, I think, has actual faith that this will continue.
Yeah, totally.
Meanwhile, I think he for sure knows it can't.
He does. He knows the whole time. That's why he's also like sick over it.
He's sick over it because he absolutely loves her. And his parents also start to notice that his mom starts to notice he's coming in late.
Yeah. He's acting differently. Yeah.
But it's all happening. It's like she miscarried. She's not well. It's like all these things are coming to a head at the same time. They're all interconnected.
Yes.
But there's a lot about Avrami and Shola in the book. We're not going to get into all of it, but it's like a main part of the book.
Yeah, where they're like, he's like really drawn to her, but also like feels like obviously she's totally forbidden, and she invites him to her birthday party. He's sort of like, again, I feel like he's probably like wearing a baseball hat and a Bekisha. That's what it sort of seemed like. You know, like trying to blend in, but really not.
Cool, I'm a cool dude. I'm a cool dude.
Yeah, totally. It's like I remember some making a joke like how if these, sometimes also you see these frum guys who are like trying to be casual and like wear a t-shirt, but like the only t-shirt they have is like Israeli Day Parade 2021. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
T-neck
Yes, I
stands with
do.
Israel. Like that's like the only t-shirt they have. It's just like it's impossible to escape. Yeah, so he's doing some version of that, I think, and then he gets really drunk. She takes him back to her apartment because he gets sick, and then they kind of like start, you know, that's when they first like kind of start getting hot and heavy, I think.
Right.
But yeah,
So they're
but to him it's
they
very
love
like
each other, they're
it's doomed
intimate.
from the start, I think. Like he has this very fatalistic attitude of like he sort of can't stay away from her, but he knows it's doomed.
Yeah. Also, it's like so disjointed because it's like he has his world of like his peers and davening and his family and halacha, but then he has like a separate world with his love with her, and they're intimate, and it's like very disjointed, and it's like it's like kind of cringe to read because you know where it's going.
Totally.
Even when he meets her, like their whole first interaction, it's like they're sitting, like I'm envisioning like they're sitting at like a table together in like a study group, and like she's really close to him because like they're just like two peers sitting next to each other, but like he's literally never touched a woman.
Right.
So he's like trying to scoot over, and
Right.
like her body's touching his. He doesn't know what's like, it's too much for him. And then they start to talk about it. They introduce her, or they don't exactly start to talk about it, but like she's like, sorry, am I squashing you? She whispered. No, not at all. Just a bit of a squeeze in here. Isn't it? Hi, my name is Shola, by the way. Mine's Avrami. Avrami, that's a bit unusual. Where from? Oh, it's Yiddish. It's just a shortened version of Abraham. Where does Shola come from? Shola's Nigerian. My dad's Nigerian and my mom is English. Right, nice name. Yiddish, you said? Does that mean you're Jewish? Yes, there are some Orthodox Jews around where I live in Stoke Newington, and they speak Yiddish, so that explains the suit and little black cap you wear. Yeah, I'm one of them. Well, not exactly like them. They're ultra religious. I live in Golders Green, and we're a bit different. Different communities, same religion sort of thing. By the way, different communities, same religion sort of thing. She doesn't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Totally.
Avrami. Only we do. Only we do. We know what you mean.
Right.
We know.
Right.
We understand that shtetl's different from yours. We get it.
But like you're talking
get it.
nonsense to her. You're basically
Literal
you're exactly
nonsense.
the same. I mean, you're
He uses the word from when he meets Shul. It's like when Binny uses the word shul with her friends because she doesn't know that shul.
so cute.
Like, I try to help her replace it with synagogue. I'm like, just you could be like, I was at my synagogue, or I was, but like she doesn't know.
It's so funny because I feel like my kids have developed a sense of who to say synagogue to and who to say shul to.
Yes, I think she's starting to also.
Yeah. That's yeah. It's a good skill. Avrami doesn't have it.
Yeah, it's very no, he doesn't have it. He goes, they're ultra religious. Okay, he catches himself.
Right.
He felt he was rambling, but Shola was staring at him, mouth slightly open. Wow, I've never actually spoken to one of your people before. You seem, well, very secluded. Yes, sadly, that is the case, but come to think of it, I've never properly met one of your type before either. Yikes. Her eyes creased in amusement, and she let out a snort. My type? And what exactly is that? She teased, head cocked to one side. She chewed her pen as she waited. To his chagrin, he felt his face burn. Shola raised a perfect eyebrow inquiringly. I meant, you know, he raised his hand in a helpless gesture. Black or female? Which is it? Both, actually, he mumbled. Well, it's a first for both of us, then. Nice to meet you, Avrami, she said, holding out her hand. Avrami eyed the small brown palm extended towards him. His blush spread to his ears. He tried to smile. Shola, I'm really sorry, but I'd love to shake your hand. I'd love to shake, but I'm forbidden to touch girls. Shola's mouth fell open in disbelief. She pulled her hands in like a shot. You mean you can't even shake my hand because I'm a girl? Avrami nodded sadly. Anyway, a few pages later, they're fucking.
Right. Didn't take too long.
I mean, not exactly a few, but yeah, it didn't take too long. So they're in their whole thing. It's doomed from the start. It's very sad. When it ends, she's so gutted and sick over it and cannot move on. Meanwhile, he's also completely sick over it. He's like going to the cafe, looking at her in the cafe, but not going totally up to her. He's like completely lovesick after the breakup. She's completely gutted. He pulls the rug out from under her. Like, I feel for both of them. My heart's broken for both of them. But then she shows up at his house.
Right. Because she just can't believe it. It feels so abrupt. Like she never really got how torn he was, I don't think. And she just couldn't believe that it was really over.
Because she felt the love and she knew it was real. And by the way, Shola, it was.
Wow.
was.
Okay, this plot line really spoke to you.
I loved it. I loved it. Anyway, she goes to the house. She talks to the Rebbitzin.
Yes. The rabbit's sort of
Incredible scene.
nonplussed by the whole thing. She kind of like, she kind of almost already knew it was happening.
Yeah, she's like, so you're the reason my son's been coming in at 4 a.m. every night.
Right.
The woman stared at her blankly. She was tall and slim, save for her pregnant belly. Her hair sat in an old, low, thick line above her brows, blah, blah, blah. Yes, can I help you? I'm looking for Avrami. I'm a friend of his from uni, from his tutor group. The woman looked startled for a moment and then appeared to collect herself. A spark of recognition glowed in her dark eyes. Ah, I understand, she said quietly. So you're the reason behind my son's late nights and his moodiness. Anyway, this is the craziest. She's like, when will he be back? An hour or so at the earliest. It depends on how long the discussion goes on afterwards, because he's in shul. The girl's face fell. She seemed to sag as she stood awkwardly on the doormat, exposing a fragility that the Rebbitzin had already sensed lay behind the bold facade of a biker jacket and miniskirt. She had not imagined that Avrami could be attracted to someone so different to him. Anyway, then she's like, it's okay, I'll just wait.
Right.
Damn. So she goes into the house and just sits on the couch and waits.
I think she really just feels like if she sees him again, it'll all fall into place.
So she's sitting there just looking around the house. The room was shabby and bare. Shola noticed the absence of pictures or ornaments, walls stained by faint handprints here and there, the scribbled evidence of a felt-tipped pin. What? The room needed a lick of paint. A glass book cabinet took up an entire wall to her left. The books were heavy, bound in leather, and had gilt Hebrew letter. It's like just like with the wall of
Yeah, Sfarim, yeah.
Yes, the wall of Sepharim. Anyway.
And then doesn't the
doesn't come.
Rebbitzin just kind of say, like, you really, like, I don't know, I don't remember exactly what you said, but it's something to the effect of, like, this isn't going to work. Shola, like, you're sad now, but you're going to get over it, and you should just move on, basically.
Yeah, she goes, it's okay, Shola, look, I know it hurts, and perhaps I'm biased, but I genuinely think that Avrami did the right thing. Look at me. Are you prepared to live like me? To swap your miniskirts for floor sweepers and wear a wig once you're married? The Rebbitzin gestured at her shaitel. I don't understand, Shola said. She had not realized the woman was wearing a wig. Why does it have to be so black and white? Because Avrami lives in a world where there are very firm rules and ways of doing things. If you want a future with Avrami, you would have to convert to Orthodox Judaism. Conversion can take anything from 3 to 7 years of hard study. You would have to live with a religious Jewish family to ensure you keep kosher and learn your customs. You would not be able to have any physical contact with Avrami until you become his wife. The rabbis would turn you away several times, testing whether you wish to become an Orthodox Jew whether your wish stemmed from something other than a romantic relationship. They hold little faith in those who convert for someone else. Blah, 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 blah. She basically is like, Shola,
Don't bother.
you don't need to sit on this dirty couch.
Right.
I know I just want to see you one last time. Is there any point in prolonging the agony? I think a clean break is best for both of you. If it's any consolation, I've never seen Avrami so down before. He must really care about you. Anyway, he's just creeping around,
Right.
watching her drink her coffee.
Right. But then she does leave. I mean, I guess she doesn't really have a choice.
She
but
leaves, he
yeah.
leaves. That's it. They both know.
Right.
It's sad.
But then the
Anyway.
dad, doesn't also been the rabbi, the dad sees Shola leaving and realizes what has transpired and then confronts his son. He's very angry. And
Yes.
they're going to send him off to Israel also to kind of like, he has to drop out of school and go to Israel basically to like sort of reform.
Yes. He's being sent to yeshiva
Right.
with the hopes of a flip out.
Right. And
Coming back to his roots.
Right. And he's sort of willing to do it because he's just kind of so depressed. Everyone's just kind of going with the flow because they sort of they can't muster the emotional energy to do anything else.
Right. And also there's something about when they are this depressed and lost, like the rules of like ultra-Orthodox halachic Judaism are so intense and binding, and you have to think about them just like every second of every day, that it's like very good for a specific kind of person who's down in the dumps or obsessive.
Totally.
Or needs that kind of rules to control.
Yeah, it's like lost and needs
them.
structure. Yeah.
Yes, lost and needs structure. Yes.
Totally.
And he's lost, and he is just in pain. And so she leaves. Yep. Anyway, then the Rebbitzin is like, F this,
Right. Actually,
and leaves.
yeah.
It was Purim in the narrow streets of Nachlo. That was different. That's back when
Oh
they were
my
in
God, I
Israel.
cannot. Seriously, that was so traumatizing. I
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
emphasize enough.
Yeah. No, it was. No, we're moving on. We're not reading about Yitzchak. Horrible.
And also, like, the dad, Chaim, the rabbi, it's sort of like he's like this tragic, sad figure also because he, like, really believes and wants this life, but he's totally gotten lost in it. He's, like, so disconnected from his wife. He's so focused on, like, his status in the community and whatever that he can't offer his wife, like, anything. Like, she really.
Connection, love.
I think she does
help.
love him and wants to stay. Like she would have, if he had given her a crumb of emotional anything, I think she would have considered staying. But remember, there was like this scene toward the end after she tells Chani about the son who had been killed. She talks to the husband and she's like, I need to talk about our child. I can't just keep burying him and pretend he never existed. And the husband's just like, no,
Right.
I can't. And she's like so
Right.
distraught and he just kind of walks out.
Right.
I really feel like if he had just pushed himself to go to her, the whole thing could have been different. Like that's really what it came down to. She was so
I
alone.
completely agree with you. Anyway, it ends on their wedding night,
Right.
and things are looking up for them.
Right. They attempt.
Back to Chani and Baruch, who, by the way, this is why I said this is not about the marrying of Chani Kaufman. This is about all these other people.
Right. They do attempt to have sex. It doesn't really happen.
Mm-hmm.
She's
It does not.
No. She's kind of traumatized, I think.
He comes, it's not inside of her.
Right. He can't get in. He doesn't really know where he's trying to get in, so I think that that's problematic.
There's too much friction, he can't handle it.
Yeah, right. The end game is not clear. But then they sort of like, she's like, I need to leave, but then he kind of cajoles her into staying, and then they kind of are having like what most couples would have as like their sort of like one of their first dates, where they're kind of like, lying on the bed together, they're eating snacks, they're chatting, they're kind of like finally getting to know each other.
Right.
Seems like it could be hopeful for them.
And she tells him about how his mom was a monster. He's like, oh my, and her telling him that almost like endeared her more to him. He's like, what'd you do? She's like, I crushed her foot. Like,
Right. And he's
now
like,
I love
wow.
you even more.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what?
He's into that.
But that he sort of knows,
Right.
what he's dealing with. It wasn't easy to be the son of her.
Right. And then she's like, listen, my mom had too many kids. I really want a maximum of 4. And he's like, great. 4 is too many even. Let's keep it, whatever. So.
Keep coming outside of me, actually, Baruch.
Right,
That'll
exactly.
work.
It's actually perfect. So, I don't know. There's a meeting of the minds to some degree. They're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
He's going to get it in.
They're going to figure it out. There's a shocking pink bra involved that she had packed in her wedding bag. He gets a glimpse of it. Things are looking up for
There's
them.
potential.
There's potential. That's it for them. But everyone else is just down in the dumps. It's horrible.
And then the final scene, I think, was that you realized that the Rebbitzin had sort of like secretly come to the wedding. And
Yes.
but then just walks out without, and I think you get the sense from her walking out that like she's leaving this community. Like she's done.
Oh, yeah. She's done. She's in jeans. She's completely done. She's in jeans. She's out.
Yeah.
She's out. She's done. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
We had a visitor.
it happens.
If you heard just now, there was a visitor.
I didn't, but
Oh, all right. There. Now everyone knows. The door's closed again. Yeah, that's the book. It was really intense, and I can't believe it.
I really feel like it would have benefited from one character that was a little more mentally stable.
Yes, happier. Well,
Because it's such a bleak picture of that community. And I don't know. I feel like
you want to believe that it's better.
want to believe it. There's a plurality of experiences. So I'm sure there are people that are miserable and feel trapped, but that there are also people who feel good and feel fulfilled. I mean, maybe that Israeli family was kind of that for a minute. I don't know. There wasn't enough.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, Eve Harris, if you're out there, you're a good writer.
Very well written, really.
Really.
Yes.
Better than I was expecting, too.
Yeah.
It's like really well written.
Yes.
All right. That was The Marrying of Chani Kaufman.
Yes, it was. That book could have a
Now,
sequel. In the world, if it was really a romance, I feel like it would have a sequel.
Oh, for sure. That should be greenlit. It would be so good. Okay. There is a Jewish romance author named Meredith Shore who we've never read.
Okay.
And she has written a few books now, but one of them is called As Seen on TV. And I want to read you the description. Maybe we'll read it.
Okay.
Okay. Fans of the Hallmark Channel and Gilmore Girls will adore this delightful rom-com about a city girl who goes in search of small-town happiness only to discover life and love are nothing like TV movies. Emerging journalist Adina Geller is done with dating in New York City. If she's learned anything from made-for-TV romances, it's that she'll find love in a small town, the kind with harvest festivals, delightful but quirky characters, and scores of delectable single dudes. So when a big city real estate magnate targets tiny Pleasant Hollow for development, Addie knows she's found the perfect story, one that will earn her a position at a coveted online magazine so she can finally start adulting for real. And maybe even find her dream man in the process. Only Pleasant Hollow isn't exactly pleasant. There's no charming bakery, no quaint seasonal festivals, and the residents are more ambivalent than welcoming. The only upside is Finn Adams, who's more mouthwatering than the homemade cherry pie Addie can't seem to find, even if he does work for the company she'd hoped to bring down. Suddenly, Addie has to wonder if maybe TV got it all wrong after all. But will following her heart mean losing her chance to break it into the big time? I don't know. I thought there was.
She sounds Jewish. I mean, that was a Jewish name.
She's Jewish.
Yeah.
There might be much more other than that.
Right.
But Adina Geller is Jewish. Meredith Shore is a Jewish romance author. We're going for it.
Let's do it. I'm excited.
Okay, so we're reading As Seen on TV next.
Cool.
And I'm excited.
Me too.
Great. This podcast is brought to you by Newest Traditions and Hanukkah. Hanukkah's available on newesttraditions.com. With promo code HANUKKAHEROTICA, you'll get 20% off your own menorah-shaped beer pong game.
Great.
Check it out.
Totally.
Never too early. Never. This podcast is produced by William Levin. Follow us on Instagram, wherever you listen to podcasts. Leave us a review.
Thank you.
Send us AI chatbot emails.
We'll respond to them.
Or don't.
We respond to everyone. Or just be yourself. Either way.
Exactly. Good night.
Good night. A 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a...